Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. For those of you that don't know, my name is Samuel with Cedar Pine Designs. I do furniture flipping videos and restorations. In this video we're tackling a 9-drawer mid-century dresser, so let's jump straight into this one and get our hands dirty. So as per usual, every project that I start, I like to remove all the drawers and any hardware and just take a really good look around and evaluate the entire piece to see if there's anything that's going to alter the vision that I have for this piece. And so far this piece is in really great shape. It has metal slides, it's 9 drawers, it's massive, and I have a pretty good idea for this one. Here I'm using a blower so that I can blow all of the excess dust and dirt out before I start wiping it down. This is always a good idea because if not, you're going to be wiping up a ton of dirt. These things collect so much dust on the inside, you will be super amazed. And for the outside of this, I am using TSP degreaser diluted with water, and this stuff, I'm telling you, stretches. So far I've been using the same bottle for about 1.5 years now, and there it is. I'm using my compressed air to get all the dirt out of all the cracks because that stuff will show up when you're painting. After evaluating this piece, I decided to paint the entire body because the side and a lot of the top had these really deep dips in them, and there was no way to repair those because it blew through the veneer already. So I'm using 150 grit sandpaper just to give it a nice scuff, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my wood filler a little bit later on in the video and fill all those in before I get ready for paint. So for all the detail areas that I can't get with my sander because it would just blow right through that wood down to bare wood, I'm hand sanding everything with 220 grit sandpaper in order to give the paint something nice and rough to stick to. So as I like to do on a lot of my pieces, I'm trying to do a two-tone and save wood where I can. So for this piece, I am gonna sand all the legs down to bare wood using 150 grit sandpaper to preserve the wood on those. And this is where I'm using that wood filler to fill in all the tops of these gouges. That way I can get a nice smooth finish. This corner, although not in too bad of shape, typically will take 2 passes with the wood filler. Usually the first pass will fill it in, but after sanding it, it will kind of dip down and you'll still see it. So my recommendation is to fill it with wood filler, sand it, and then go over it one more time with wood filler and sand it lightly by hand without a sander, just to give you a nice flat surface. And here I'm using Express Blue by Behr, but I am going to mix it with black paint. I don't know why I didn't have a clip, but as you can see, I put a lot of black paint in there so it filled the container almost all the way up to the top so that I can achieve that really dark navy blue. A lot of times people ask me how come I don't use a primer, and a lot of times if you don't go straight down to the bare wood, you don't normally have to use the primer because there's already a coating over the bare wood. But in some spots you will notice later on in the video that when I'm painting the top, you do see some spots that right there where it's bare wood, it kind of looks a little off. But what I like to do with this first coat of paint is really use it as a way to see where I still need to make some repairs, and I'll go through and sand it down really good so that way it fills that in and you'll never see it. So usually for the first coat or two, I'll use a 220 grit sandpaper, but I noticed that that does tend to leave a lot of scratches behind, especially when you go to put your next coat of paint on. So later on in the video, after my second coat, I do start using 400 grit, moving through all the way of the painting process, even through the clear coat. Real quick, I do just want to apologize if my voice sounds a little different in this video. I am fighting a little cold that seems to keep going and coming back. I've been dealing with it for the past 1.5 months. I'll be fine for a week. It'll come back for like a week, and it's usually just like a little cough that's just really annoying. So just want to apologize one more time for that. So I didn't have a lot of blue paint left for this project because it was just something I had left behind. And luckily I mixed it with the black paint, and there was still enough to mix with the clear coat so that way I can tint it, because I really love tinting my top coat with the paint, because not only does it give it more depth, it also helps to add more paint as you go to clear up and cover up any other mistakes that may come later on. So for all the drawers, I really did want to save the wood on those because it had a really nice wood grain, a really thick veneer. And as you can see right here, I'm using 80 grit sandpaper. Those side pieces had like a little lip, as you can see right there at the top. It has like a little lip of trim piece, but it's built straight into that piece of solid wood. So I did sand it off because I thought there was just too much detail and it made it look a little more old-fashioned. Without it, it looks just a little bit more sleek. It's a little subtle. You may not notice right here in this clip, it's gone compared to the other one. And I'm using 80 grit and then I switch over to 150 to clear it all up. And here we go. This is my new addition to the shop. It is a Wagner spray tent, and I specifically got this because coming up after this, I'm using a sandblaster, and I'm not typically going to really use this thing for actual paint because I can just paint either in my shop or just outside of it. So this thing was a lot bigger than I thought it was, but it still works out because I use it outside of my shop. It's just like a typical tent when you go camping. It takes 2 poles and it has these plastic clips on the side so that you can secure the actual tent to the poles, and that's basically it. It has a zipper see-through mesh front door, and that's pretty convenient to have. So this is the tool that is the whole reason why I got the spray tent. This is a sandblaster. I'd have to go back and look at the make of it. I'm gonna go ahead and put those in the link of this video so that if you guys are interested, you can check it out. This is a self-feed sandblaster, and for all these detailed areas right here, typically there's 9 drawers, so this would take me hours of using either a chemical stripper to strip it out with like a wire brush or some steel wool, or just sit there and hand sand it, and I just was not feeling it. So I picked this up, and as you can see, it is blowing through this finish, and I was super shocked and super amazed at how it just strips it away. And another thing that is good about using the spray tent is that you can go back and collect it just like you see right here and sift it and reuse it as many times as you can until it becomes unusable. And the stuff is pretty inexpensive for the fact that you can reuse it multiple times. So now with this new sandblasting setup, I'm a lot more confident that I can get more detailed restoration work done that doesn't require me to have to paint certain things just because it would be too much work to strip it down to bare wood. So I'm very happy for that. And here I'm using my polyurethane satin finish, just the top coat alone for all the front drawers. I'm not staining or anything. This is just going to be a natural color, and I think it's going to contrast really, really well with that dark navy blue paint. So because this is bare wood with no kind of finish or anything in it, I have to do at least 3 coats because it really soaks into the wood. And for the drawer pulls, there's only 3, and they are real brass, so I decided to just clean them up rather than paint them because it just looks so much better when the things are polished out and there's no risk of paint coming off. And as you can see there, back to back, those things look amazing. So this Barkeeper's Friend in the liquid form is my favorite polisher. There is the powder form, but you're still going to add water to it anyway, and it's more abrasive than this is, and it gives you a really nice glossy finish without leaving a lot of scratches in it, so you don't have to go back and try to polish it. So as I was letting the top coat dry so that I can polish up all the handles, I'm using a 400 grit sandpaper just to give it a quick scuff sand, and really it's just so that it gives it a really, really nice smooth finish. It also does help each coat stick to each other, but really it is for that nice smooth feel. Now that the handles are all polished up and the drawers are nice and dry after adding 3 coats of polyurethane in a satin finish, it's time to put all the drawers back into the slots that they go into. I'm test fitting them because these drawers, you have to kind of push them. It almost feels like you have to force them, and then they work really smoothly because they have bearings. But after putting those in, I knew I was going to be happy with this. So let's take a look at how it was before I started. You know, Some people may say they like this look better, but I think that it's really dull and it just looks a little outdated to me. So here's how it looks now, and I could not be happier. This dresser really did exceed my expectations. That natural wood against that really dark navy blue is breathtaking. So as I like to do at the end of every video, let's go over all the numbers. This piece is a commission piece, so I had no investment in the project itself. It was picked up and dropped off, so there was no delivery fees. I spent $150 for all the sandblasting material, $20 in miscellaneous material that I already had in stock, leaving me with $370 invested. I did charge $550 to redo this piece, and I made a profit of $380. Over the span of 6 hours, that's $63 an hour, and I couldn't be happier with those profit margins, and I have some new toys to play with. Thank you all for making it through this video with me, and I cannot wait to see you on the next one.